Hello, I'm Oded Cohen. I am the co-president of the TOCPA and a co-founder of the TOC Expert Ltd. Today, the 11th of June, 2021, is the 10th year anniversary of the death of Dr. Eli Goldrat. Eli was a unique and outstanding person. He was an inventor, innovator, and a great leader. And above everything else, he was a very close and dear friend of mine. I would like to commemorate the person and his legacy by sharing with you briefly my 43 years of TOC. 33 years with Eli Goldrat and 10 years since he died. It all started in 1978 when I was the head of the computer department in a large Israeli manufacturing company. And we were developing homegrown integrated system for a production, which was based on Copics. Copics was an approach that was developed in the late 1960s by IBM Research, and they have created the whole concept of integrated systems for manufacturing, which have a common database and data communication. Bear in mind that in these years, it was just a concept because the computers were not capable yet to this level of hardware and software. We, the company had the bits and pieces. We had the subsystems, definitely standalone, and they were not communicating to each other, and we were in the process of building ourselves this Copics in the company. And because we were not, the company was not happy with the production planning, which was based on class software, I was very much interested in both the master scheduling planning and in the detailed scheduling, which were very detailed described in the Copics books. And while we were doing that, one of my team members went to a conference, and he came back and he said, "That you must listen to that. I went to a conference. I met a guy called Eli Goldrat. He has an outstanding software and quite a unique approach to production scheduling. You must go and see him." And so I did. I went. I went to his office in Tel Aviv. We met, and I definitely liked very much what he had to say, and there was sort of like an immediate click between my need and what he had to offer in terms of the not only the software but the thinking behind it. I will not say just a sophisticated, but the fact that it was very well structured and very well presented, and I like the concept, I like the logic, and I like the person. So he offered me the Oct, which was the piece, the software package, which is called Optimized Production Technology, that he started in 1975. So by then, he already had several pilots and several implementations in Israel. And we did ourselves a pilot, a benchmark in 2 divisions in the company with very quick results and outstanding in terms of improving the on-time delivery and in the reduction in the work in progress and the lead time. So we liked it. We were on the direction of fully purchasing it, and then sort of beginning of 79 started the problems in Iran. The Shah was removed from his position, and Israel, and especially my company, lost a major market for the defense program products, and the company that I worked with shrank very rapidly within 1979. In 1980, I left the company. I moved to another company, which was in the area of building the assembly machines for the semiconductor business. I was responsible there for the production and the worldwide service. I used the concept of the OPT, and throughout this, and for a couple of years, I worked there and was in contact with Eli. And after 2 years in 1982, Eli called me and said, and proposed to me to come and work for him in his company, Creative Output. So in 1982, I moved to the UK together with 2 other colleagues. I spent there 4 years, in which we built the UK company, which was Creative Output UK, so UK. And we basically dealt with open implementations. And during this year, there was a continuous growth, continuous upgrade of the software and the way that we propose how to manage production with the software. And it was just a continuous joy of working together, because all of the time, even though that we were in the UK and Eli was in Israel, Eli was flying back and forth, coming to the UK, spend several days with us, diving and investigating on every single implementation that we had, and further developing. Of course, he brought to us new knowledge and new experience from other implementation, especially in the US. In these years, the OPT that originally was built in 1975, it was focused on finite forward scheduling, given that companies suffered from bottlenecks. But in 1982, especially in the US, there was a major recession. And the meaning of the recession was that the bottlenecks disappeared, and suddenly company had over capacity. And what it meant for the software is that everything was done as soon as possible before even the due date was supposed to be shipped. So then came another module, which was called the serve, and the software was split between opt that dealt with the capacity constrained resources, the CCRs, and the serve that dealt with all of the non-CCR. They worked together, produced the reports and the detailed scheduling. With that, the concept of how to work with environment that has capacity constraint and non-capacity constraint. Just to mention a third module, important module within the software was probe, which was the ability to dive and analyze data from the database, bill of material, load analysis, inventories, and what-if scenarios. What is important about the ways that we work together with Eli is that there was a continuous dialogue between us and Eli on one side, the plant, and the implementation itself. So in a grammatic way, I can say it's like was the stories that was recorded in the goal, which was basically based on this 3 or 4 real implementations in the states that we knew very closely. So here's Alex Strogo, he's the plant manager, runs into difficulties. He communicates with Jonah. Jonah analyzed the situation, used his thinking processes and the data bank of his ideas and solutions and causalities, which eventually we can capture and call it the TOC. And with that, suggest Alex what to do. Alex takes the actions. With this action, he impacts his own reality. And then what we have is just a pure causality. This is the situation, we take this action, then we expect this result. Then comes the reality. If we achieve the results, that was confirmation that in this condition, the logic worked. If it did not, if the expected result did not come there, then there was immediate investigation and try to understand what was missing there, not only in terms of the interpretation of the actions, but also it can be that the logical connections had to be upgraded. And this error from reality back to Alex and from Alex to Jonah, this is a very critical issue of any expert system that go on continuous growth and continuous improvement. So this happens with every single implementation that we had, and it was for ourselves, it was the joy of not only the achieving the results and making the impact on the reality, because every implementation was successful. Every single implementation was successful, but it was also from one implementation to the other, we understood more and we became more and more expert in this area. So all is because of the restless of Eli, that always he probed and he asked us questions about what is that and why do you not get that, or why this is happening, etc. I would like to share with you a milestone that was an outcome of this probing and the analysis. January 1983, we had a meeting of top management of all of the creative output companies, the US, UK, Israel, and Eli put on a flip chart the graph that first of all created this green curve. And what this green curve says is that in all of our implementation, many of them, what happens is that we go there, we implement the software, we work with them, and we're getting outstanding results within a very short period of time. And then we start to see that the improvement, the rate of improvement slows down into stagnation and sometimes even deterioration, which is this black curve. And Eli asked, why they did not continue. Whereas the expectation where you have the software, you have the knowledge how to manage according to it, gave you the guidelines, the instructions, why it does not continue on this red curve. That comes the question mark. And the split point where we have the question mark is the analysis showed that this was precisely when our teams of the TOC, the opt analyst, and the support team left the site when the software was working perfectly and people knew technically how to work with it and operate it. In those years, because the software was not cheap, it was pretty expensive, and the approach that the companies took is that, okay, let's make a pilot, implement the software, run it for 6 months. If you're getting the results that you promise, we will buy the software. So they bought the software. We ensure that technically they were capable, and then we find that there is deterioration. Okay, and that was quite an input for the continued development of the company and the whole approach leading towards the TOC. By the way, historically, the reason that it is called green curve and red curve is as simple as that Ellie used 2 markers, and one was green and one was red, and that's it. And since then, everyone is talking about the green curve and the red curve, and it becomes a part of the legacy or our tradition. So one of the outcomes of that is of this understanding is that just to give technical training and ensuring that the companies are capable of running the software, distributing and even doing what an opt analyst will do every morning. You will come to the plant, take the schedule, go straight to the bottleneck, and check what is happening there. And if needed, take corrective actions in order to bring it back to the schedule. That did not happen really when there was sort of a computer guy, or even if it was production control person that came with this approach, and he had to handle the higher management of production, okay, which were supported by the higher level management. Okay, and immediately it went into conflicts with the pressure on the financial side of the production, issues that conflicted with the cost accountants, etc. And due to that, we moved and enhanced from just a technical training into management training. We opened training centers in the US and in the UK. This photo is Ellie and me in 1984 when we opened the training center in Hounslow in England. Then the continuation of that was the development of a video training. Ellie produced 16 outstanding, high-quality, professional video training. they exist still somewhere, definitely in the Goldat House in Israel. They also have some of these recordings, plus six additional videos that Bob Fox created on on opt and MRP, talking about the integration and how they fit together and so on. Then it moved into the thinking processes, the thoughtware. Ellie said there is a hardware, there is software, and there is thoughtware. This is the thinking that we have to incorporate in the ways that we are managing, the ways that we are making decisions, the way that we analyze problems, and the way that we develop, capture, and communicate solutions. So this software was the beginning of what now we will call the thinking processes. And there were also games. Eli was very much into games. Personally, when he was in the university, in order to finance his studies, he developed games, box games. And then when came the time now to communicate to and to teach management, Eli wanted games, he wanted books, easy reading books like The Goal. Okay, so the management challenge was a game. By the way, you can see here that there were like two colors. There was the regular game and there was the professional, the pro game with learning material with it, with hints when people did not have a clue how to answer them, and there was also a way to get the answers, not immediately, but you had to scratch it in this booklet. And that opened a major development, not only on the software, but on the teaching, on the training, and our own skills. Also, we already in 1985, we shared the knowledge and the development with the academic community. There were three academic seminars, one in the UK with professors and lecturers from universities, and two in the US. This was a five days by which Eli gave a lot of his knowledge. Yes? And many of these professors created hubs that for many years have been TOC hubs, because this is they were so impressed by it. We also understood that creative output is just one small company, and the companies that are really touching the market are the consulting, the big consulting companies. We built for them the business analysis course, by which the knowledge, the thinking, the thoughtware was handed to them, and some of these consulting companies created their own centers, which also some of them call them manufacturing excellence, that use this material and the race that came in 1986 with their customers. So that was quite an outstanding collaboration and understanding that we naturally should work with the academia and with the consulting community. End of 1986, creative output went into sort of like a junction point between going software or going with the thinking processes and the education that Eli called for the management. Due to that, Eli departed from creative output and started all over again with a new company that was the Avram Goldrat Institute as a partnership between Eli and first some of the top management of creative output that joined him, and later on came others. So there were 10, 12 partners within AGI. This is a photo, early days of AGI, Eli and the partners in a partner meeting that was held in the UK. 1987, we came across an article, a remarkable article, an editorial of a Success magazine in the US, which was quite a popular business magazine then. And this described a company that already they took the goal, bought a case of gold, gave it to the top management, read it together a week by week, chapter by chapter, and after 12 months reported significant impact, improvement on their bottom line in terms of on-time delivery, in terms of inventories, and in terms of increasing sales. And this was a light bulb for Eli. Eli said, wow, this is it. And those who know Eli, many times he saw even one point, one situation, and he was great in terms of extrapolating from one point, because immediately he was thinking about, wow, this is what we need. We take the knowledge that we have, we give it to the top management, to the head of the system, and they will be able to do what Jonah is doing on their own. And that is what it was called the Jonah program. So from mid-1987 started a series of Jonah program. Of course, they were on a continuous development. And these early days Jonah programs were based on the simulator that was developed as a next generation of the op games. And these simulators had many situations, many scenarios by which the simulator could catch and replicate a problem in reality. And then you give it to the students. And this was like a case study. Analyze it, think what you would have done, try and do it on the simulator, find the gap. And this was 1 week of an outstanding learning, mind-blowing. The second week started with doing the analysis of the companies themselves. Okay? They started with the negative tree, which turned into the current reality tree, and the positive tree, the solution and its logic. That was a 2 weeks Jonah program, high level and very expensive, but with a lot of outstanding results, outstanding people that many of them are still within the TOC community. This is a photo from 1990, just to get a flavor of, the person, and we're talking about the journey and so on, but you can see that time passes on. We are growing. We are not that young because we started very, very young. This is a photo in the Goldwater Institute in New Haven, Connecticut, and this was taken around the time that he finished his third book. He had the goal, the race. Then the third book was, what is this thing called the TOC and how to implement it? And it, I just find that it's nice photos to remember the person and the journey. In 1991, there was a major development. I'm mentioning key milestones in the development. I mean, there have been so many details and stories along the lines. But in this year, we were requested to develop a JONA program for the service industry, understanding that the service industry, even though there are areas which are equivalent or can understand processes and production processes, they said, but we are a service, we have a service, and we would like to have a JONA program. So we went into a special development program in Ashridge Management School in the UK. And by the end of this program, the full map of the thinking processes was plotted. And then came also the decision that actually there is no difference between the production JONA program and the regular or for everybody else or the service JONA program, and that became the standard. Then in the period up to 1997, there were further more development, came the capturing of the thinking processes in It's Not Luck. Then we developed the 3 cloud method, and I was personally in charge of the development of the MSW, Management Skills Workshop, in very close relationship with Ellie and directorship of the program. This was 1995. 1996, we focused on production the TOC way, and in 1997, Ellie decided that, first of all, he wants to retire from managing the Goldwater Institute when he became 50. And he also decided that as a gift for his own birthday, he will write the book Critical Chain and create this thereafter the consortium of companies to develop the CCPM software. So 97, Ellie retired from managing the Goldwater Institute, but he did not retire from TOC. He actually focused on what he recognized that there is a missing element in the whole journey of making the TOC, and this is the marketing. And he took many actions in direction of helping and establishing the marketing of the TOC. In 1999, he came with the idea of having online programs, which he called the Goldratt Satellite Program. It was recorded in Holland and transmitted around the world. 8 sessions, 3 hours each, and that established quite a strong foundation of the building blocks of the TOC. It's recorded, translated to many languages, and is still used as a basic learning and training material. Like any other work of Eli, outstanding. And then over 20 years after it was produced, it's actually very, very good and recommended. In 2000, Eli came with the idea of 4x4. 4x4, it's actually 4 days and 4 days, but 4 days by which this is a special program for a company that wants to set up the direction of their development. And for 4 days, not necessarily even consecutive days, but 4 days, they watched the videos and discussed the videos and their relevancy. 8 sessions, half a day per session. And then came an additional 4 days by which there was an analysis of the current reality, coming to the core problem, developing the direction of the solution, and laying down the elements of the solution, what from the TOC knowledge has to be incorporated into helping the company to achieve very, very ambitious targets and goals. In 2001, I left the AGI, continued to operate with my English companies, it was TOC Europe. And in 2002, Eli asked me to help to construct TOC ICO, the International Certification Organization. And this was with the vision that there's a need to, Eli's vision, that there is a need to create like a professional guild, some organization which is not attached to Goldratt, independent, that can ensure the integrity of the professional. And the idea was that the TOC ICO will certify people that at least they have some knowledge or the different level of the knowledge within the TOC, whether it's fundamental, whether it's just an implementer and a high level. So that was in order to create a sort of protection of the integrity of a TOC, because more than anything else, it was very important to Eli to ensure that TOC is used in order to bring benefit, to create good, okay? And if someone comes and presents that he knows TOC and he goes and does the work and does not fulfill the expectations or the promises, who do they go to? Cannot run to Goldratt, and we didn't want that to happen. but that was the whole idea of creating the TOC ICO, and definitely TOC ICO is such an independent organization that has also been the platform for sharing and the knowledge and in introducing new members into the community. So that took me about 1.5 years, and when and in this year I was the first chairman of TOC ICO. Then I handed it over to the next chairman. In 2003, Eli built the Goldot Group. This was then a company of Eli Goldratt. And this time there were no partners, but the concept was that at least for there were some employees, but the majority of the people that were involved in the Goldrat Group, actually, Eli managed to draft us in a very unique way. He said, help me to bring the Goldrat Group, donate 50% of your time to the activities, whatever is needed, for free, okay, in view of sharing and becoming some shareholders in the future. Brilliant idea. And this is, I'm mentioning it because this is presentation of how charismatic was Eli. Yeah, because he came and he said, this is the direction, this is the vision, guys. Do you want to join me? He didn't force anybody, but said, if you join me, yes, we don't have the funds to do this massive work. Okay? So expect you guys, or I suggest that you donate your time and we share the future. When I joined the Goldrat Group, I became the international director of the Goldrat Schools and stayed in this position until 2012. Goldrat Schools were unique. And in the sense that very quickly, 2004, Eli came with the idea, yes, another invention of the viable vision. Go to the companies and offer them in 4 years. Top line of today will be bottom line in 4 years. Okay? That was the vision. But that meant 4 years before that. Actually, the force on us, especially in AGI, is that do not be physically on site because we becomes the obstacles because we are there. So it was more about knowledge transfer, okay? Come to the Jonah program, we'll give you everything, but it's like remote support. We'll come and visit you, but don't be dependent on us. Now we're talking about the viable vision, it was a different issue, especially that there were several applications that were needed to be implemented, integrated together, yes, and it became a major project. This project needed resources, and Goldrat Schools were commissioned to prepare these resources from the TOC community that existed already in the world, especially the consultant and so on. So we built, first of all, we created a faculty, and we had very close our friends joining us, and key people in the TOC community. So we built we had the faculty, because the program were 5 to 7 weeks each. and all around the world. So we built the Application Expert Program, the AP. We ran 26 programs, over 500 people around the world. So that was an outstanding work. Again, initiated by Eli, gave us the mission and said, go and do it. And I think that we did it, and we did it well. In those years also, the faculty wrote 3 books to capture the knowledge. We in Strategic Solutions, TOC Strategic Solutions, printed them and published them, but there are the articles, majority of them written by the faculty of Goldberg schools. And then Eli died in 2011, 10 years ago. And we continued, the TOC continued. And I think that 10 years has passed, and what we see is that the TOC is as relevant, it continues to grow. And what we have done, Yelena Fedorko and I, we together with founding members of TOCPA and friends and colleagues from Creative Output UK, AGI, Conrad Group, and so on, we created 3 organizations. First, TOCPA and TOC Strategic Solutions, and now activities around the TOC Expert. You may see that on my shirt. All of it is done by us in collaboration with people around the world, our friends around the world, that we are working on collaboration, on a concept of networking, and really based on win-win. And that's why it has been so strong for so many years. Just sharing with you some of our activities in these 10 years. TOCPA, the TOC Practitioner Alliance, from 2011, what we really have been doing, we were preserving and developing Eli's legacy. Given that the majority of the founding members of TOCPA are from the Goldberg schools, it's along the same lines, okay, that we got the knowledge, we were heavily involved in the developing of it while Eli was still alive, and thereafter we are sort of the custodian, not the only custodian, but we feel that we have the desire, the passion, the love to this TOC that we would like to preserve and further develop. And when you go into the website, what you're seeing is an unbelievable recording of the legacy. Okay? People came, learned TOC, took it on board, used it, expanded it, and make wonderful things with that. So you can see the spectrum of what this platform is bringing. Conferences, webinars, videos, PDFs, think camps, schools, books, for beginners, terminologies, blogs, etc. The knowledge has been captured, formulated based on our experience, based on our own learning throughout the years and the capturing. And I just presented along the structure of the satellite program, the 8 modules: production and operation, finance and measurement, project management, distribution, marketing, sales, managing people, strategy. Yes? These are sort of the major chunks of the knowledge. And what we share, and we are very, very clear about sharing the core. The core is the constraint and the concept of the constraint. The 5 focusing steps, the 4 concepts of the flow, the 3 basic assumptions, focus and flow, the U shape to capture all of the logic of the problem and the solution, the logic, the cause and effect. And we may add to that also the 6 questions of technology. This is what is common to the community of the TOCPA. We don't try to force anybody to agree with that or disagree, but within our community, these are the roots. This is what everything is stemming from, and what can be called as TOC. You can trace it down to this core. Okay? We wrote books throughout the years. It's in the blue is the books that I wrote with Domenico Lepore, Deming and Goldratt. This was in 1999. Then I wrote the book Ever Improve. The first one was 3 parts, covering basic logic, the reality of production management, and MTO, make to order. And that was in 2009. 2010, I came with the second version that included also the make to availability and make to internal availability. Yelena focused her writing on the further capturing the detailed understanding and the guidelines of using the thinking processes. There was Behind the Cloud, which establishes the strict, rigorous rules of how to build proper cloud. Then through Clouds to Solution, taking from UDIs all the way to the solution, again, following the rigorous approach of Eli Goldratt. Another book is Mistakes and Difficulties in Working with TOC Logical Tools, which came based on the practical day-to-day work with our students that wants to use the thinking processes and need further support. The book that is not on this slide, a very important one that Yelena wrote, is A Good Strategy and Tactic Tree, which is based on the legacy of Eli Goldratt. And this is from a deep investigation into all of these strategy and tactic trees that Eli wrote, his webinars on that, the personal communication that we have, and definitely the deep understanding that Yelena brings to the table. TOCPA conferences, definitely in 10 years, 50 conferences. We just finished this week, 3 more conferences. We had 5 conferences so far this year, 2011, commemorating the legacy of Eli in the world. We had an international one in Latin America in Spanish, in Israel, in Hebrew, in Europe, in English, and in Russian for the Russian-speaking regions. In these conferences, this was the place for practitioners to come, share their experience, and not teach the knowledge, but says how they have been using the knowledge, how they've implemented an injection in the reality, yes, and how it has been manifested and more further understanding and practical ideas they can share with the community. So if you go to the website and look on the conferences and sort of the list of videos and PDF, you will see the vast knowledge that exists in over 600 presentations that not only gives insight that or support the fact that TOC is working, but it is more important is how to make it work. Yes, and this is, I believe, a major contribution, because everybody can read the books, but we are getting, even today, people said, I read the book, I like it very much, I've tried to implement it in my plan, and I don't have a clue how to do it. Can you help? And this is precisely what your CPA is for. Yeah. Another, so this is just a comment about the videos. They are on Vimeo. They are available. They are free of charge. Anyone who wants to listen to can just go and watch. And there are more also in the YouTube. Yes, and this is just to give you an indication about statistics and the countries that we can see that people are interested. And I think that even that, in a way, this slide, this is a wonderful presentation of the legacy of Eli. Yes, one who started from Israel, yes, in the 1970s, yes, went to the States, UK, Europe, you know, and now look in how many countries in the world there are activities, or there are people that are interested on what is this thing called TOC. In 1917, we came with a further idea. It's the think camp of the TOC expert. This is where I'm broadcasting to you now. It is in Vergi, Estonia, used to be a fisherman village on the Baltic Sea, very pastoralic place, sitting in the midst of a national reserve. And you sit here by the sea in summer or in winter, and you think, and you discuss issues that currently are of interest, further development, okay, the different experts and practitioners that are progressing and see new opportunities. And I said, let's meet and talk. We have people from companies that want to set up direction for their solution. We had not only the think camp, it's not only in Vergi, but also we had it in Switzerland. We had it in South Africa, and in the last year we had some virtual think tank meetings from people around the world. We do hope that soon the restriction on traveling will be removed, and we'll be able to continue and operate from here the think tank and further developing and sharing. So what is next? And this is just a snapshot of what we have in the pipeline and what we are planning to do. We have during the pandemic, we had the Think Camp on Air, which was a virtual meeting, broadcasting online, leading experts, you'll see people in the world, taking a subject and discussing it for a couple of 3 hours, and then share it with advanced people. It's not usually for beginners, but it is people who have a good understanding and experience of TOC. We have lined up more broadcasting starting from September, probably once in a couple of months. As I said, we will continue with our think camp in Bergy. Following the recent conferences and watching Ellie's legacy and people that have taken it further and coming with new areas, pushing the boundaries of knowledge. We are having a bank of new designs. The design is new solutions, new approaches to other industries or situation. More than anything else, I think that the motto of this new design is the opportunities that people see that there are new opportunities in our life, in our world, that TOC can be of a significant help. Yes? And this is the desire to capture it as a new design and share it with the communities for those people that it is relevant. So when we're talking about the constraints are not only the things that are restricting us, blocking us, preventing us from going further, but the constraints are those things that are the opportunity, provide us with the opportunity to grow and to get bigger, better, closer to whatever we want to do. Another program that it is on its way in conjunction with Nereus from Lithuania, TOCpreneur, applying TOC for entrepreneurship, a series of programs for newcomers to the business or entrepreneurs that want to introduce systematic thinking and structured systems and solutions into their companies. And the last bit that we have here on the slide is the continuous providing of programs, teaching programs, company programs, support, remote or online or on the companies. And this is where we are. This is the continuation of Ellie's legacy. And I will end up by saying that the TOC and Ellie legacy is relevant and unique for those that have the passion to improve. They want to things to be better. They want to think to grow. That's like what we have been doing together with Ellie in 33 years and continued thereafter for another 10 years. As many years as we will have, we will continue to do it because this legacy is an outstanding gift that can enable us to do things that are important to us and that we will feel that it has been useful. It's been a pleasure to share with you my journey and hope to continue and see you all. Best regards.